What's up, guys, and thanks for tuning back into another episode of That's Just My Life. I am kind of going off route from what I started last episode. Last episode, we covered like going no contact and kind of how I did that, but a couple of things have happened, so I think I'm just going to yap again like I did last time, and that's just going to be the new vibe. Again, thank you to everyone who tunes in. I really appreciate it. But this week, I really wanted to touch on self-sabotaging and being a people pleaser. I am certified ex-people pleaser, self-sabotager. Horrible, horrible. And it's really taken a lot of therapy work to get there. I actually need to get back into therapy. But my therapist, when I met Clayton, I was like, this just like something's gonna happen. Like nothing is just this good in my life. Like everything for the last 22 years has been trash. Like, and then here is this amazing new life. Like, no, not for me. God decided I'm his strongest soldier, and none of that is in my cards. And she's like, you have just had so much chaos in your life that you always think something's going to happen. You're always waiting on the other shoe to drop, and you would rather get up first than be the one that gets hurt. And I was like, you're not wrong. And it's so bad. And what kind of like brought this up is I was having a conversation with one of my very close friends who's kind of going through a lot. She knows who she is. And we chatted about like sometimes we put ourselves in the worst positions by doing these self-sabotaging and people-pleasing things, and we try to be all these things and do all these things that we think everybody else wants us to do, but it's not feasible. You can't do that and keep your happiness, and at the end of the day, your happiness is what matters. And to my self-sabotaging people-pleasers, you will get through it. You will, if you put the effort in, and it is possible to I don't want to say grow out of it, but kind of like you heal, because all those things I truly believe are like rooted from things that happened in our childhood. And with me and Clayton, it's so funny because I'm usually like thinking the worst and he's like, go with the flow. Like, I don't think he ever thinks worst case scenario, but we were brought up into very different home environments. And when I met him, I always felt bad, and I still feel bad because that's hard. It's hard to be with someone that's like that. Like, I know that. But like I told my friend, you will find somebody that loves you for you and all of you, and they will love you enough to help you work through those things. Clayton has learned like what my triggers are and what kind of helps me, and he uses that and he implements that, and we have conversations, and I am getting better, but it does still pop up sometimes. And being with someone that can reassure you and have the conversation with you that everything is okay. Stop trying to make something out of nothing. Like, because I'm horrible at that. That is my toxic trait. I will take something completely out of context. I can't tell you the number of times I thought a friend was mad at me or my sister-in-law was mad at me because of the way I interpreted something that was said, or text, especially text. Texts make it so hard to interpret the way somebody means something. But me being this person that I am, and through the things I've been through and this defense mechanism I have up, sometimes I just think that everybody is like out to get me. Everybody's just at the worst. Like, no. Like, no, homegirl, that's not what they meant. Like, they didn't mean anything bad by that. And sometimes I need that little reminder. And for me, my person that reminds me is Clayton and my sister-in-law. So I also highly recommend, like, kind of get somebody in your life, like, have that conversation with somebody that you trust to be like, hey, call me out when I'm doing this. Because it is hard to recognize in yourself. And it's really annoying when you get to the point that you can recognize it, but you're not quite healed from it, because I do it all the time. And then I'm like, I did it again. But it is healing to, like, recognize that you at least can acknowledge it. Whereas before, like, I feel like I lived miserable because I was just always assuming the worst. Everybody was out to get me. Nobody really liked me. Everybody just kind of tolerated me. That was the thoughts I had every day. But now I have this environment that I know I'm loved. And when I start to question it, this is what my therapist told me to do at the start of Clayton and I's relationship. She told me, like, every time I start having like a bad thought or like questioning something, make like a facts. Like, what do I know and what is not backed up by facts? And a big thing with us is, not anymore, but it was the beginning of our relationship, is Clayton travels so much for paintball. And I've been cheated on so many times that, like, at first that scared me. And my therapist was like, he's going out of town to play paintball. You know that he doesn't have very much extra time besides paintball. Also, like, what facts do you have that he's out of town cheating on you? And I was like, none. And she's like, exactly. Like, these thoughts in your head that aren't backed up by facts, put them over here. Facts that you have, put them over here. And then, like, remind yourself that that's not a real thought. Like, facts I do have, Clayton loves me. If Clayton didn't love me, he wouldn't be helping me with school and all these things that we help each other with. Like, you don't build a life with somebody that you don't love normally, you know? Some people do, whatever. But that's not Clayton, and I know that. And so that's what my therapist would always remind me, like, facts not backed up by facts. Facts not true. Like, separate them. Write them out on paper. I've gotten to the point now I can like do it in my head. Like if I'm having a bad thought, I can just like flip through those in my head and it's fine. But for a while I was really like writing them out and it truly has helped. So if you're somebody that kind of struggles with that and like always thinking the worst, always thinking negative things, always kind of questioning others' motives, do that. Because even not in my relationship, sometimes I do that with my sister-in-law. Oh, excuse me. Both my sister-in-laws, I'm not re-recording just because of that though. Both my sister-in-laws are very strong personalities. I love them to death. They both listen to this, so I hope they don't get mad at me for this. There's that again. Like they're not going to get mad at me for this, but that's just me. Both of them have very strong personalities. So sometimes when they're giving me advice, like the way they say things, I'm like I don't want to hear it the way they say it. Because my sister-in-laws also don't sugarcoat anything with me. Like they tell me how it is. And sometimes I take it the wrong way and it hurts my feelings. And I have to remind myself like, hey, that's not the way they meant it. Sometimes my sister-in-law and I usually talk every day. If we go like 2 days without talking, I'm like, she's mad at me. Like the other day I told him that. I was like, I think she's mad at me. And he's like, why? And I was like, we haven't talked in a couple days. And then we all hung out that night. And like, no, we've just been busy. And I feel like that's a hard thing going into adulthood is you have to remember that like everybody's busy. Nobody's mad at you. Nobody, is trying to give you the silent treatment, but we are adults and we are busy. And I think I've touched on it before, like nobody deserves 24 access to anybody. Like, especially everybody in my kind of inner circle right now has a lot going on. I've got friends raising babies. I've got friends building houses. I've got friends getting married. I've got friends going through some really, really tough shit. I have to not take it personal when my friends don't text me back because I also am horrible at texting back. I probably have like 7 people left unopened right now. Not even intentionally. I just don't have anything to say, I guess. And like I've been cleaning the house and now I'm working on content. So like I'm doing my things, we don't have to talk to everybody every second of the day, every day. And just because you're not talking to them every day does not mean they're mad at you. That's really, really something I've had to work on. And next, what I wanted to chat about is not really relevant to that at all, but I feel like talking about it today. I should have recorded the other day because man, I was fired up, but Clayton got home and I don't like to record when he's home. So anywho, one thing that gets me is internet trolls. I made a TikTok the other day and I wish I hadn't deleted the comments, but I was tired of arguing with this person on the internet. So I deleted all the comments, but I did that trend where it's like, make it as hard as you want. And we, list these things that you've overcome. Did I think that was a trauma competition? Absolutely not. I think it was of the people that are screwing us over right now and trying to take away a bunch of things from struggling people who need it. Anywho, I'm not going to talk politics on this podcast, so that's all I'm going to say on it. But I did that trend and somebody was like, trauma isn't the same as PTSD. And just because you went through things doesn't mean you have PTSD. I'm like, first of all, Bestie, I said nothing about PTSD. But since you went there, I am clinically diagnosed with severe PTSD. And like, we just went back and forth. And I was like, okay, clearly you're not like seeing things the way I'm seeing things. Have a great day. I hope you heal. Like, maybe that's why I'm able to make a post about it is because I've spent so many years trying to heal. Like maybe you're at the beginning of your healing journey. I wish you the best, but like don't come sideways to people on the internet. I never understand it. And then my sister-in-law's like, but like you finally have haters. I was like, yeah, I guess, but like I just don't understand why we can't all just be nice on the internet, Like are you really that miserable and that bored that you just find the need to stir the pot on somebody's post or comment hateful thing? Like I don't understand internet hate. Some things, maybe. Some people post really stupid shit. But when people are trying to build their content, media, whatever, like people trying to jump on these trends, people trying to share their story, be nice. Because also, it takes so much to be vulnerable, especially on the internet. That's probably why nobody really shares when they're down in the trenches, because internet and the world is so cruel. Anywho, it annoys me and I don't understand. And yes, like trauma happens to everybody in that a lot of us respond different to different things. Something that I consider a trauma, you may not. Something that you consider a trauma, I may not. But to go and tell somebody like you don't have trauma, you don't have PTSD, no. Kind of back to like when you tell somebody that they hurt you, like they are not allowed to be like, no, I didn't. Your hurt is your hurt. Your trauma is your trauma. Your story is your story. period and blank. This really is just going to be a rambling episode because I have a lot to talk. A lot has happened this week. Somebody reached out that I've been no contact with, and I don't know how to feel about it. I left it on just like not even opened. Like I'm not friends with the person. So it was just a message request, and like, you know how you can accept or decline. I just stared at it. And then I literally left my messages app like that because I didn't want to like let them know that I read it yet, but I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And so of course, like I text one of my friends. I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, maybe just let him know you appreciate it, but like you're not ready. Like you are no contact for a reason. I was like, okay. So I just hearted the message. Like, you know, I feel like that says like, thank you. I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not ready to have you in my life yet, if ever again. But now I'm like, I kind of want to message back, but what good is that going to do? And I feel like when we go through these things, like we really have to stop and weigh the pros and cons of the choice we're going to make. Because obviously every choice we have consequences and, you know, cause and effect. So I've been kind of thinking on it, and it's a hard decision to make. Kind of like last week when I said, like, it's hard to go it's hard to make that decision to go no contact. Making the decision to come out of no contact, I have learned this week is even harder. Anyhow, yeah, back to what this week started as with the self-sabotage and shoot a drop, because I feel like that also kind of ties into this message I just got. Because my first thought was maybe he's like about to die or something and, you know, he wants to try to make amends. Why is that the first thought in my head? Why is death the first thought in my head? You know, it really, at the end of the day, everything takes time. Everything I've talked about today, like the self-sabotaging, the people pleasing, like it really just takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and eventually you get there. And you know, I started the podcast because I thought I was good. Like I thought I was healed, not all the way, obviously. I don't think anybody's ever all the way healed, but I thought I was doing real good. And then this week I was kind of like, maybe not. But at the end of the day, like you just have to put in the work every day to want to be better and to make those improvements in your life. And I highly, highly, highly recommend everybody go to therapy. Honestly, I wish I could convince more people in my inner circle to go to therapy, because like therapy doesn't mean that you're mentally ill. Therapy doesn't mean something's wrong with you. Back to everybody has some sort of trauma. Even the happiest, you know, raised by both parents or financially stable, so they didn't know poverty, like even those people who you think like what bad has happened to them, you never know what happens behind closed doors. And that's probably we're all in this, is because there's another situation that happened this week, and I would have never guessed that this person was going through this. And it really just shows that we never know what's going on behind closed doors. Some people are very transparent. I am one of those people. I kind of post my whole life on the internet, but obviously not all the bad, because there's some things I do keep private. But like, I'm not obviously afraid to tell my story, to tell that I've been in the trenches. Like when I'm going through it, there's usually a post about it. But some people only post the good. Some people don't post anything at all. And so we really have to remind ourselves that we don't know everything about this person's story. Kind of back to the internet troll that told me my PTSD and trauma isn't real. You don't know what other people go through. You don't know what's running through their minds. That just goes back to like, I wish we could just be nice to each other. Like this world is crazy enough. And I think we just need to start being nice to each other. And go to therapy. And that's all I have for this week. Heal. Go to therapy and stop being so mean to people. Goodbye.